afternoon, and we're live again with another interview for you. I'm really enjoying doing these interviews. I especially like that we're trying to bring you lots of different types of people that have done lots of different types of things, because whenever we talk about one-to-many and making recurring revenue online, we always get the same kind of worries, which is, surely you can only do it if you're teaching people how to make money, or surely you can only do it if you've already been doing something for a long period of time, or, you know, all of these different kinds of things. And so I want to bring people to you that have done a myriad of things, like lots of different types of things, so that you can resonate with different people in here. So today I have the amazing Lauren. Welcome to our little live show, Lauren. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I want to start with, because you've done something a bit different. You started one-to-many with one thing, and now you're using one-to-many again for another thing. So I want to go back to what you started it for. Where were you before you came into one-to-many?
So I was a wedding cake designer. So it's back 2019. I was all kind of fully booked and it was all going really, really well. But I kind of had realized I was reaching this, and I had at this point I'd never met you, I knew nothing about you or passive income or anything like that. But I was busy. I mean, my prices were quite high, but I just kind of had realized there was something that I realized, the ceiling thing of this, you know, that I could, there's only so many cakes I could make in the time that I had. You know, I had young children as well at the time. And there was just something in me that kind of wanted to do something more. So there was something going on in my head thinking, oh, what could I do? I thought like, oh, maybe I could, you know, sell like bakeware or something, like get some sort of sponsorship or something. Like, what could I do that could get some like additional revenue? And I was feeling quite burnt out, I suppose, to a degree. I didn't realize at the time, I've since been diagnosed with ADHD, and I think that there was an element of overwhelm of all the different, because I had lots and lots of, you know, weddings coming up, so lots of different clients that I had to deal with. It's a very bespoke product, so everyone, you know, were at different stages. So it was a lot. And then and that just I didn't know what else it was going to be, but there was just something in my head that I thought there must be something else I could do.
And then you found one-to-many and race to recurring revenue. I remember you in the challenge, and then you went into one-to-many. And what was your big idea in one-to-many?
I didn't start honestly with a big idea, and I kind of jumped into the one-to-many course a little bit, not recklessly, because obviously I'd kind of done a bit of the due diligence, but compared to the fact that I'm usually quite a massive overthinker, this came up and I was like, this is what I need. Like, this is the answer that I've kind of been looking for. And I just kind of trusted that something would come out of it. I've got a teaching background, so I kind of thought probably it would be something around teaching what I've done. I didn't necessarily want to do, you know, decorating classes. But yeah, so when we sort of started, it gets all the juices flowing, all the things that you're good at. And a lot of my background is I taught business and I've run a successful business. And I was like, there was a little bit, not so much anymore, but a bit of a niche in the market for teaching the business side of running a cake business as opposed to the decorating side of it. So that was my big idea that kind of developed as the course went on.
You did a bit of both, didn't you? You were like teaching the baking side and teaching the business side, which I quite like, that whole mix of things.
Yeah, well, I did the teaching, the actual kind of decorating in person, like at my home, like in my kitchen. But again, that kind of felt like I couldn't scale that beyond the number of people I could fit in the kitchen. And I just, where I sort of started it, but it quite quickly turned into, actually, no, I'm all about because there's just so many insanely talented cake makers out there, but they just running it, set up a cake business because they're good at making cakes. And I kind of wanted to help.
It becomes a hobby business, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So you have a lot of people doing that. How did you find one-to-many the first time? Did you find it difficult? Was there anything that surprised you about it?
It's intense, honestly. You know, there's a lot. It's like every week there's sort of something new. So there's a lot to kind of wrap your head around. Knowing that we had it access for life took away some of that pressure. So I did. I don't think. I think if I missed any, it might be one or two at the most. But I came to every session live, just for my own kind of accountability of making sure I
Yeah.
turned up. But it was quite good to know that I could go back and revisit stuff, and I did, because some of the things came up sooner than I was ready to do yet. You know, like writing a sales page, I hadn't quite got to that stage yet. But I could watch it, take it in, and think, okay, right, that's kind of what I'll do. But then when it came to that point, I just went back to that video and watched it again.
And did you gain any more freedom by doing one-to-many?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I know it's I'm trying to think of a way, not, you know, it's such a cliche, but it did kind of change my life, because it was all of that. You know, I still carried on up until quite recently. Actually, I carried on making cakes, but I was able to really reduce the number of cakes that I did, which in turn helped me to kind of put my prices up even more, because I was a bit more kind of exclusive.
Yeah, you could pick and choose, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I could pick and choose the ones that I wanted to do. I didn't do any kind of Sunday cakes, because, you know, I wanted the weekends with my kids and that kind of thing. And I worked, I worked kind of school hours while the kids were at school. Yeah, I mean, honestly, in the first sort of 6 months or so, it was probably harder work, or at least as much work as it was when I was doing the cakes. I was very busy, but it didn't feel like it, because it really felt like you could just tell that you were building yourself towards
Well, it's
something
different when you know you're building towards
Yeah.
having more time, is it? You don't mind putting the effort in if you know it's going to be worth it long
Exactly.
term.
Yeah.
How much, if you don't mind me asking, how much money did you make from one-to-many in that business?
So it's still going, but I'm just kind of doing a bit less in there now. But up until this point, I've made about £65,000.
Amazing.
And that has been very much part-time. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't work full-time. I work school hours, basically.
And so you suddenly had a change of heart and realized that there was something more that you should be doing. What happened?
So after I mentioned I got recently diagnosed with ADHD, that was kind of about a year and a half ago. And as much as I was really enjoying, I was running courses and a membership and everything else for the cake business people, I kind of started to think, actually, I want to expand out what I can do, mentoring, coaching. I did a coaching qualification, so I'm actually, you know, I do a bit of both now, the mentoring and the proper kind of, you know, full on coaching stuff. And I had some coaching myself from an ADHD coach, and I was like, it was a little bit, but I kind of went, do you know what? I think this is what I want to do. I want to help other women that they had late diagnosed, that kind of had no idea up until this point and had all these struggles. Still managed to start 2 successful businesses. So kind of help people do that. So
Amazing. How are
yeah.
you doing it? Are you going back to the beginning of OTM and just like doing the exact same steps?
More or less, yeah. I mean, things kind of have changed a little bit, but yeah, pretty much kind of everything that the knowledge that I gained from that and what I implemented with my cake coaching business, that's what I'm now doing. I'm currently in the stage of building an audience. It's slightly different this time around, because with the cake coaching, I literally started that business with one-to-many, and I started doing courses, like, you know, selling one-to-many, and then as that developed, I actually started doing some one-to-ones with people as well, because I enjoy it. I like working with people one-to-one.
You get to choose how you do it.
Yeah. Whereas this time around, I've kind of actually started a bit more with the one-to-one, because part of your coaching qualification, all that, is you build up your hours working with people one-to-one. So I've almost kind of done it a little bit in reverse. I'm doing the one-to-one in a bit more of a traditional sense of building the business.
You actually teach that too now, to do one-to-one. We teach that now too in one-to-many, to do it that way, because while you're building an audience, you don't want to not make money. So taking on one-to-one clients while you're going is a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the way that I'm doing it now. And I enjoy the one-to-ones, but again, I just want to be able to reach more people, to leverage my own time, but also for the fact that I know that it's not affordable for everybody to work one-to-one. So if I can do some group coaching programs and that kind of thing, it makes it more accessible to people that maybe can't afford to work with me one-to-one. So that's the way I've kind of looked at it.
Amazing. I'm excited to see what comes of this one. I really like it when people build a business, they do well and make some money, and then they realize they can build another business in the same way, using the same kind of system, because it is something lots of people come to you and go, but I've got 5 ideas. And I'm like, all right, park 4 of them.
Yeah.
Do one now, and then you can go back to all the other ones. And it does work like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on. I know you only had a really short window for me today. So thank you for nipping on here and having this conversation with me. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with more interviews. We have so many to do this week. And if you want to ask Lauren any questions, either about ADHD or about her business and her one-to-many experience, she's in the Race to Recurring Revenue group. So do go and ask in there. All right. Oh, yeah, we'll be back at 7 p.m. There's another interview this evening. It's just that I'm not doing it. There is another interview at 7 p.m. So do come back and watch that interview at 7. And I will see you all very soon. See you later, guys.